We are averaging between sort of 18 to 25k a month consistently as well. Naman and I started working together around about a year ago. I would say at that point I was doing 3 to 8k. If I go back even further, my journey started with a impulse purchase. I randomly bought a very good camera. That's sort of where my journey began. So, and then within sort of 3 months or so, I think I did my first 10k month, but that was absolutely crazy. Like I was doing basically loads of low ticket stuff, probably charging between sort of 20 and 30 pounds for the hour. I don't want to be working, sort of 80 hours a week. It was tough, man. And that's where I came into you. I saw one of your ads. I knew what you've been doing. Damn, these guys are killing it. And then, you miraculously popped up at the right time. So I sort of realized, something's clearly got to change. Like, just because it feels hard, it doesn't mean that you're not doing well. You are purely in a phase of growth. I'm at a place where I value my time a lot more. The work works on you more than you work on it. You wire yourself to think like more work means more outcome.
Yeah.
But it reaches a certain point where that's not necessarily the case. It's more like, what can we improve to increase the outcome? I think my biggest learning with all of this is like preparation. Thank you for getting me on here. I think people can learn so much from you.
Joe, appreciate you jumping on this call, interview, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, we worked together end of 2024 to start or mid 2025. Before we dive in, can you give everyone a 30-second, 40-second intro about who you are, what you do, and kind of the results you've seen since we started working together back then?
Amazing. Thank you, Naman. Pleasure as always to catch up and jump on a call. My name's Joe. I run a marketing company called Zone Marketing. Recently rebranded to Zone Productions, because we're leaning more into the production side of things. And it's been a journey, to say the least. Naman and I started working together around about a year ago. And I would say at that point I was doing, as a freelancer, very inconsistently about 3 to 8k per month. No sort of rhyme or reason, just work as and when it came, and was sort of working my socks off. And now we are a team of 6, and we are averaging between sort of 18 to 25k a month consistently as well. We tend not to drop below 18. That's where we're at. And that was with Naman's guidance. And obviously, very thankful for that.
Wow. What a jump, man. Filipino, it's been a while since we caught up. You grew it to 6, but we'll get into that because I wanna know how that came about. Because before we stopped, just as the program finished, you were on 2 or 3 staff members. So now you kind of doubled that. Interesting.
Man.
We'll get into that later. So let's start at the beginning, man. How was the freelancing before we started working together? So obviously, you mentioned your income was ranging between 4 to 8k a month, but paint the picture a little bit. What was life like for you then? What did a typical week go for you at that time? What was the biggest bottleneck for you back then?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, like if I go back even further, my journey started with a impulse purchase. I have a tendency to buy random stuff and do absolutely nothing with it. And I was working at NatWest Bank at the time, and I randomly bought a very good camera with all of my savings that I'd put aside for about a year and a half. And that's sort of where my journey began. So at that point, I was doing, I think my salary was 27,000 per year. That is, so it worked out to about 1,800 a month. And with that, I wasn't fully fulfilled. I always knew that I wanted to do something for myself. It was just, I had no clue what to do it with. And I was like, hey, look, I've got this camera here. Why not put it to some use? My nature tends to be quite, I like to work hard, basically.
Mm.
I like to work hard. So I really sort of threw myself into it, threw myself in a deep end by quitting the job and sort of sacrificing that income. And then, yeah, within sort of 3 months or so, I think I did my first 10K month, but that was absolutely crazy. Like I was doing basically loads of low ticket stuff. So for an hour of my time, I was probably charging between, between sort of 20 and £30 for the hour. So that was a lot of hours that I put in that month, and I don't think I slept. Moving on from that, I think I had a bit of a wobble because I was like, damn, that's what it takes to hit 10K. Which was sort of my goal starting out. I was like, once I hit 10K, I'm like, yeah, happy days. But I was like, I want to keep this up now. I realized it wasn't all about money. I sort of wanted to move into owning a team and so not owning a team. I wanted to move into having my own team and being able to work with other people. Yeah, none of that in this day and age. You can't own your team. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, look, freelancing really good for certain people. I think it ultimately depends on your goals and what you'd like to do with your life. For me, I don't want to be working, sort of 80 hours a week. I'm happy to do it from time to time if that's what we need to do. But for me, really wanted to build something that would last long term and would last without me being ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, that journey, like you mentioned, of hitting your goal, you like within 3-4 months of you buying the camera to then hitting your goal of hitting your first 10K month, but then at what cost? Because again, the hours you're working, the physical drain, like the cost to your physical health with the sleep and the work that you were doing, it must have been tough a little bit.
Man, more than tough. I think I had like, I've sort of throughout life I've had, for various reasons, like challenges with mental health, and I won't go down that whole sort of, we can sit and talk for hours about stuff like that, but like, having a goal in your mind and then reaching it and realizing like that, like, like it wasn't actually that big of a thing, like I didn't have the energy, I didn't have the headspace to give myself a pat on the back. And I think what that did, achieving that goal in that short of a time frame for me, was it just said, what's next? Like my hunger came straight back in, and it was like, right, now we're on to 20K. And I think what happened was I'd overworked myself in that month, and then my subsequent months, like the income really reflected. I mean, look, have I got my? I don't think I have my freelancer bank account, but I'm sure if I looked, I know off the top of my head rough numbers. That 10K month following one was about 3K.
Wow.
Then I think we went sort of a bit higher, 5.6, roughly off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And
were they all like one-off shoots, or were they retainer clients?
All one-offs.
All
yeah,
one-offs. Wow.
At that point, I hadn't really mastered social media, and with it just being me, a lot of my retainer clients from the early days, they parted ways with us. So yeah, a lot of it was from outreach, which led to one-off shoots, which was sort of low ticket. I was charging £250 with some edits off the back of it. So we're talking.
That's
exactly.
That client was loving it.
Man. Yeah, exactly. So guys, hit me up. Yeah, kept the same price in. No, I'm checking. yeah. It was tough, man. And that's where I came into you. I saw one of your ads. I knew what you'd been doing because we sort of I'd looked to new marketing from when I started as like, damn, these guys are killing it. And then you miraculously popped up at the right time. So yeah,
it just kind of led me on to the next question, but you kind of go into it. I just wanted to know more about, at what point did you realize, what, this needs to change? I can't keep doing this any longer. And obviously you said you've been watching the journey of how I ran my agency of new marketing, and then that ad miraculously came. what were the options that you're looking at, or what solutions were you looking at before you made that decision of, you know what, I'm going to commit to working with myself or at that time?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I hadn't actually thought about doing anything like that. It wasn't something that was on my mind because I was like, you know, I've seen a good month. I
Mm,
was beating my 9 to 5 income. So I was like, yeah, I'm sorted. This is me done for life. But I think after a few months of not being able to push myself to the same extent that I did in that
mm,
10K month, I sort of realized, you know, something's clearly got to change. Like you can't sustain that workload. And, you know, if I wanted to achieve my goals at the time, which was, um, and it still very much is to, you know, be able to look after my, not that she needs it, but sort of help retire my mum,
mhm.
before, you know, usual retirement age. And then also to be able to support wider family and friends where possible.
Yeah,
I realized I can't do this with what I was doing. So as I said, came across your ad. I think straight away booked a call with you. We jumped on, and it wasn't even. I think there was a slight skepticism because I'd never
mhm.
done anything like that. And it's like, you know, you're your own person. You've got your
Yeah,
own circumstances. Can you apply your teachings to my life ultimately? Because, you know,
yeah,
as much as business is business and you could apply principles, it's like, would you be able to understand me and how I work, and would
mm,
that suit how you're going to teach me? Um, and I literally think within a day of having our call, I didn't sign up on that call. I gave it a
yeah.
day so that I didn't jump into something impulsively again, like I
I
always do.
remember what you said because you mentioned you had a ADHD or something, and then you said I can't
Yeah,
make decisions on the call. I need to sleep on it. And then I said,
yeah,
all right, cool. And then literally first thing in the morning, I wake up and bam, you said, you know what, I'm ready. Let's do it.
good to go,
And that
man.
just
That's
made
it.
me say, you know what, I respect that. This guy knows what he wants. He's ready to put the work in,
Mhm.
and the rest is history.
That's it, man. That's it. And yeah, it was literally that. I just woke up and I was like, you know what? The money's there. You know, you're told time and time again to put money into yourself, invest into yourself. Hadn't ever done it to this extent. Hadn't ever spent this amount of money on me.
Mm,
Um, not in this way anyway. So yeah, I was like, let's bite the bullet. Let's do it. At the end of the day, I can make that money back if nothing came of it. Um, but stuff came of it. So very worth
yeah,
it.
good stuff, man. Good stuff. I guess like when you first joined into the program, what were the
Mm.
first steps you took? Because to start the agency you have now, because you were a freelancer back then. Now you're an agency. So what were the first steps, if you remember, that we took or you took to start building that agency you have now?
I think the first thing that we worked on was my pricing structure.
Hmm.
Before, very low ticket, day rate for filming would include some edits. So we immediately made that separation. So we started together in December 2023. Come
Mm.
January 2024, we were charging separate rates for filming and for editing. And the way that we did that was, I think we started charging 400 day rate for filming or 350 day rate for filming. And then editing would be sort of quoted depending on what we were doing because it was
Yeah.
all pretty ad hoc. You know, someone might want us to come and record a conference and there might be 3 videos to make. Someone might be recording, you know, a full day
Yeah.
at their clinic of testimonials. It might be 12. Um, but yeah, pretty much separated editing from the day rate filming. That immediately boosted our revenue. And
Mm.
I think since then, to put it into exact numbers, we haven't dropped below 10K
Mm.
per month. So that was like a massive change. I think from there, another thing was content. Definitely
Mm.
started posting a lot more content on my page, which I think at the time had about 200 followers, 250 followers. Um, and, you know, stayed very consistent with that posting until about 6 months ago, where I had to stop because
Yeah.
we were getting so many inquiries through my personal brand. And yeah, I think now the page is coming up to 2K followers, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when everyone that's following you is within your niche and your ideal target audience, those 2K followers go a long way. So I guarantee if
Yeah.
I go off here and I post for the next 2 weeks, I'll get a surge of inquiries from people that I would want to be working with.
What's that feeling like now, though? Because obviously when you were freelancing, and you didn't even have the retainer clients, it was the one-off jobs, and however you were getting them, like was it through content or outreach, and that changed to now, like you can't get enough leads. Like how many leads are pouring through your Instagram? You don't even run ads right now, do you?
No, we've never, tell a lie. We've run an ad before, but it was for
Yeah.
£100 budget, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing we've ever done. The rest has been
Yeah.
fully organic.
Yeah. And so how is that now, where you literally just have leads just ready for you, ready to work with you? Whereas back then it was like, fuck, I don't know where the hell my next client is going to be. How does
Yeah,
that make you feel now? Like, does it give you that? I mean, you tell me, how does it make you feel?
yeah. I mean, look, it gives me strong sense of security, especially now with having a team on board. Like our minimum outgoings per month has increased drastically. When you're
Can imagine.
freelancer, you buy your kit, you do, you know, and you know, I recommend doing it like this. You buy your kit, make sure you got your software sorted, invest in yourself with the likes of Numan, who can help sort of guide you to where you want to go if you did want to take it that next step further, or, you know, help make what you're currently doing more efficient. But now with all of staff and whatnot, yeah, we need to make sure that we've got these leads coming in. So it does give us a sense of security. I would say, for better or for worse, we've got all these leads because there's been times where, you know, we've taken on way more than we can chew.
Mm.
It's been a journey with staff. So when we have taken on more than we can chew at the start, it's been challenging when we don't have the staff members that have the skills that we need, and they don't represent me as much as I'd like them to. But yeah, it's a lovely feeling, but it's one that you need to be mindful of when you're first coming to, you know, a surge of leads, an abundance of leads. There's loads of opportunity, and it's like, what is going to be best for our time? Because you can't do everything. You can't
Yeah.
help everyone.
You're more
and
selective
that,
with who you want to work with.
yes. But the thing is, you're not when you first get that. You're like, okay, you've inquired. I'm going to help you. Let's do this. And that's another challenge in itself, is how do
Definitely.
we pick and choose? So yeah, it's a positive thing, but it has to be used in the right way.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I agree. Walk me through the numbers, man. So obviously you started, you mentioned that around the 4 to 8K a month. It was fluctuating, some months were 10, and then kind of went around to the 3 to the 5s. How is the agency now? So what's the revenue like? How many clients are you working with, the team, and your time? So just run me through what's life looking for you right now with your agency.
So, yeah, sure. I can get up pretty much exact numbers. So, this month we've done, obviously we're coming towards the end of the month, so we haven't built retainer clients. We're sitting at around about 15K, so that'll go up to about 21. Last month we done 20K, previous month 24. Previous month was a bit lighter, sitting at 14K. But I've got to say, we've got some people that owe us money still from that month. And yeah,
Those
previous
clients
month,
will
17.
never change.
Of course not, man. Of course not. But hey, it's only a select few, and thankfully, you know, the amount that's outstanding, I think it's about three-ish grand. Like, is right now which sounds weird to say, like it's not going to make or break us if we don't get that. We're pretty good. We're pretty solid. In terms of team members, we've got 6. So we've got a social media manager that's full time and in the UK. We've got an operations manager who is actually my girlfriend. Didn't hire her because she's my girlfriend. Hired her because she's incredible when it comes to operations. She's full time in the UK. Got another videographer full time in the UK, and then we've got 2 editors. They are overseas. They're essentially our extended team. So the way that we work with them is, it's sort of like a partner agency, if you like. They've got 6 editors under them. We send them enough edits for them to be overwhelmed every single month, in a good way, of course. And they're amazing. Then we work with various freelance designers, videographers, some of which are in your connections as well. So yeah, it's good. And then myself, who I would say on average, workload hasn't dropped below, I'd say 50 hours a week. But I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. I'd rather do that than 100 hours a week. So that's more or less where we're at now. Minimum outgoing sit around, we're talking between 10, averaging 8. I mean, 8 to 11k a month is what we need to make in order to survive now. So big jump compared to a freelancer setup. But with that comes all the other rewards of not everything being reliant on me. Having a team that you can help grow, like the individuals in the team. And I think that's lovely in itself at this stage, because we can really take this anywhere that we want. Everyone's committed, everyone's fully on board. And yeah, we're just, coming into this year, it's been difficult because we went away for a long time. Which is probably important to note, because I didn't actually work for that time. I'd probably worked
the whole time you were away.
About 3-week trip. And I think I would say I'd done, this is me being generous, about 10 hours of work. So across, sort of 21 days, it's not too bad. But yeah, coming back into it now, didn't need to do too much catch up. And yeah, we're ready to tackle this year and make it our best one yet.
Nice, man. Wow, what a feeling, eh? Going away for 3 weeks, working 10 hours across those 3 weeks, and you come back and the team have handled everything, service delivery, fulfillment. All you got to do is just come in, check in what needs to be done, what needs to be ticked over and ticked in the checklist, and you're back to work full flow.
Defo, man, defo. I mean, look, it doesn't mean that I switch off completely. I'm always thinking of stuff. It's very difficult to fully switch off, but there's a difference between thinking about the future, thinking about your team and how they're doing, and actually sitting there and doing the work. It doesn't compare.
Yeah, I agree, man. But were there ever moments for you, like during this whole process of us working together, where you doubted yourself or you ever thought about quitting? Has that ever come across? Because I don't think we've probably talked about that during our time, because it just felt like every week, every month, you were just stacking wins on wins and wins. And yeah, tell me.
Every day, man. Every day. And not in like, not in a bad way. I think like, when you are operating in a way that's not just you, you've got clients that rely on you, you've got team members that rely on you, you've got so many plates spinning at any given moment. You're always looking for ways to improve things, and you're always looking at the more negative side, right? Because you want to do the best for everyone that you've got. It's a lot of responsibility. And I think with that, what you tend to find is you can put yourself in a more negative headspace naturally, because you're always thinking, this is crap. Let's adjust that. We can do that better. You know, I can go on for ages, but what I'm trying to say is, yes, there's been doubts in my mind. There's definitely been like really difficult periods, especially making the shift from, we started off with like a fully international team, excluding myself and Liv, our operations manager. And, you know, making that shift to taking people on in the UK where you've got a different kind of, you know, employers' rights. You know, you've got PAYE, you're committed to their salary with a contract, different kind of pressure. And, you know, there's times where it does get to you. There's times where you're like, damn, this is a lot, especially at my age. But I think ultimately, the way that I see it is, if you really want to make it work, you can, you know, trust yourself. I look back in my life and there's been hard times that I've got through and I've managed to pull myself through. Thankfully now it's not all reliant on me. I've got a really good support network, you know, including yourself, that I know I can reach out to if I have any kind of doubts, any kind of concerns, and, you know, they can help me through it as well. So yeah, it's
the
up and
foundations
down.
are strong now.
Near enough, yeah. Still a little bit messy, but it's much better than it was. Much better. So yeah, I think if anyone's listening, don't be dissuaded by what I'm saying. I think it's just one of those ones where, when I started building an agency rather than running a freelancer setup, I just wasn't expecting it to be as hard as it was at times. And one thing that I've had to accept is, just because it feels hard, it doesn't mean that you're not doing well. Just because, you know, you wake up and there's stuff to improve, it doesn't mean that, you know, you're the worst agency ever. You are purely in a phase of growth. And with that, there's bound to be stuff that breaks, especially when you got all the leads coming in.
Beautifully said, man. Couldn't have said it better. Literally, as you said, with growth, the word safe is not attached to growth. Growth is risk. And without that risk, you won't see the growth you want. But I mean, you summed it up fantastically. I need to clip that. So the numbers are good. Team is there. And I guess you're working on the next stage of your agency. You want to get to the next number, but you want to make sure the infrastructure is better. The fulfillment is better. The back end is a lot more smoother. And of course, as you naturally progress with different revenue stages, different milestones, there will always be bottlenecks. But it's now you can attack that bottleneck with the experience you've accumulated from 0 to 5K, 5 to 15K, 15 to 20K. And now it's a case of how can you make 20, 30K minimum per month. So in terms of like now for your life, let's talk about what this has actually meant in terms of beyond the money, like beyond the business growth. What's actually changed for you? Like, who is Joe now compared to who Joe was when he was freelancing?
Yeah, good question. And so many things come to mind. So forgive me if I waffle on about a bit here, but I think like the first thing I'd like to say is, coming into this, I was a chronic people pleaser. You know, I wanted to do my best for everyone, and don't get me wrong, like I still do, but I wanted to do it to an extent which was unhealthy. You know, I would never put myself first. And I think going on this journey, what I'm trying to say is, the person that I was 2 years ago, you know, I'm very grateful to him for kickstarting all of this, you know, going through that phase of, you know, being a bit of a pushover to get us here. But, you know, it does change you as a person for many reasons. You've got sacrifices that you need to make. So for me, when I started, I was 19, actually 19 years old. So things like going out, things like socializing with friends, things like, birthdays, Christmas, all of that was, back of mind, for better or for worse. Um, I didn't go out much, if at all. I did, and it was sort of one of those maintenance things where it's like, I really want to be at home working, putting in the hours now. Um, and, I'd go out just because I did want to see friends, but it would affect me because I'd come back and if I had a drink, I wouldn't be as sharp and stuff. So gradually I just stopped going out more and more. So I think with that sacrifice and with that hardship, you build skills that you wouldn't unless you're put in that position. So for me, I had to really like hone in on things like focus. What does that look like? How do I, get the most out of it? And what I'd say now is I don't think I'm there yet, but I'm at a place where I value my time a lot more. I value my team's time a lot more, and I'm starting to have more boundaries, not just professionally with work, but also personally. One thing I would say is I sort of know my people now, and before if I went out and I was at the pub with friends and I saw people that I kind of knew, it'd be like, oh yeah, how's it going, blah blah blah. And it's like now I literally I don't want to talk to anyone other than the people that I know. I have conversations with people, and if I sense that good person, would love to talk to them more, I will. But I don't waste my time doing that with every single person that stumbles across my eye line, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I think as well, like mental resilience, like mental toughness, like I could have never prepared myself through any book, through any level of, meditation or anything to go through the hardship of, building a company and taking on that responsibility. And I think once you've got through it, you're like, damn, like I am pretty strong. And that's another thing that I've noticed. The work, I think Layla Hormozy or Alex Hormozy said it like the work works on you more than it works on yourself. More than blah, blah, words. The work works on you more than you work on it. I feel really good about this one. Like I've done podcasts in the past, but it's been more like they're like dental related. I'm trying to like spit knowledge about like fucking marketing and shit, and it's like I can't bring my words together. But stuff like this for me, like it flows so naturally because like I do think about this stuff a lot, and I think that's like
your experience, your journey is gonna light the flame for the next person watching this. So
exactly,
which is why I kind of want to get into more about just touching more about your experience and everything you've been through. Because it's all one thing, me just painting this narrative of Joe did this, Joe did that, and we did all of this. But behind that, what was it like for you and all of these things, and what were the challenges, what were the wins, what were the lows, and all of that stuff. So
yeah,
it was important.
Let's do it, man. I think as well, like if it gets good, if it gets good response, let's we can do another one in person, but it could be more like I could put some prep into it, and it can be more like tactical, more like advice based, rather than like this is all like my experience. It's very surface level. It's like generalized stuff.
Yeah.
But like there could be like so many specifics that I can jump into because you learn so much, and without going through the experience, you kind of know what you need to do, but you don't know like the consequences of not doing it. Like the reason I said about systems is because we staffed up with a lot of clients on our books, but we didn't have like a project management system. We didn't have, like people that knew how to do their jobs properly. It was like I hadn't trained them properly. I kind of was like, so like upload and organize these files. And it's like people hear that how they want to hear it, like without giving a proper SOP and, stuff like that. And I think my regrets are not building that stuff sooner because we sort of were on the point of like reputation damage if we carried on how we did halfway through last year. Which is all part of the journey, but if it can be prevented and someone can share, I can share my experience on why you actually need to do it, then that's going to be invaluable. So I'm open to that if you get good feedback.
I'm down, bro. We can chop something up for that for sure.
So like personal growth and that side aside, I think as well, like financially, it's not been easy. It's been tough because you need to make sure that you've got enough runway for staff so that you can keep them around, in those quiet months. But just recently, for example, I think it was May last year, I bought a car. It's not like the snazziest car ever. Like, it's not, in the hundreds of thousands, but what it is was when I was at NatWest, I was putting money aside each month for said car. My plan was to buy it within 8 years of being there. So I think I was putting like £50 a month into like a stocks and shares ISA with the goal of being able to, with sort of compounding interest, buy it within the next sort of 10 years. But yeah, managed to buy that last year. Don't get me wrong, like it was part cash, part finance, but the cash deposit on it was quite significant, and I knew that I could pay that finance off very, very quickly. Basically, like I could have bought it outright, but I chose to keep some cash, thankfully, which it's fine. It's for me that was quite significant, but not in like a flashy way. It's a practical car. It's a goal. I'm as if it's like a fucking G-Wagon or something. It's literally.
No, but like, bro, like that.
It's a goal.
That goal of you doing that is significant. Like, regardless of what make or model the car was, you set the goal, you hit the goal, and you did it in very quick fashion of you building the agency. So give yourself some credit for that, man, because that's not easy. Like a lot of people, they'll be in the game for years and they'll be running an agency for years and they'll be circling back in that whole momentum of I'm here, but then I'm going back here, and life doesn't really work out in the sense where they don't make that decision to move away from that. Where you have, you've made the changes, you've gone through the challenges, you've gone through the ups and downs, and you're bearing the fruits of your labor. So hats off to you, man. Don't ever discredit yourself.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Just touching on that, actually. So in order for you to like be able to reap the fruits of your labor, what's been like the biggest game changer for you in building your agency, for you to be able to be in that position of, I can be free with my time, I can be free with what I invest or what I spend my time on and who with? What's been the biggest game changer for you in building the agency?
I think for me, like, this is so niche, but like there's stuff behind it, I promise, and I'll get into it. But like data, because there's always a fear factor when starting an agency, especially when it comes to increasing your monthly overheads, bringing staff members on, and having a responsibility of paying them a salary ultimately. So my when I say data, what I mean is what is a trend? And a trend definitely in our case was there was a minimum amount that we were getting in each month, no questions asked, at a certain point, of course. And with that, it's viewing your resources differently. I think when I first started, especially when I started as a company as opposed to a freelancer, the lines of finances were very blurred. If I had if I had like £100 in my personal account, then I had like £25,000 within the business account, I would say myself, I have, £25,100 to my name. And it's like when I made that separation in my head, that's where I viewed resources in a different way, right? The company's got £25,000. I'm broke as fuck. Personally. So like that was good because then it enabled me to look at it as, okay, how can I invest this money here, which isn't savings. It is kind of savings, but it's like this can be invested into something. And what is that? And for me, it was making the shift of moving away from an overseas team into a UK based team. And the data allowed me to do that because there was so much fear around it. I was so scared to work with people in the UK because, you just never really know, like, was I going to be able to pay them? Are they going to be good? If they're not good and they're not our people, like, how are we going to manage that? Because you can't just straight up, see ya, go away, you're fired. Like, it's a lot more complicated than that. So data enabled me to overcome fear. And with that, you can make those bolder decisions that do move the needle a lot. And I would say, even between hiring the staff and where I'm at now, there's been countless numbers of learnings that's happened. And, firstly, it was how do you actually interview? How do you actually hire for the qualities that you want to hire for? And that was, thankfully, I had a good testing ground with overseas staff there because I could try different questions and different approaches within my interviews. At first, I was very tactical. I was very, if you were given this situation, how would you, like, do this? How would you take a video? How would you edit this? And it's like, yeah, that stuff's good. But ultimately, people are incredible at learning stuff, especially of, our age group. Like they can pick up and adopt stuff so quickly if they're given the right guidance. So I started taking the standpoint, and I still do to this day, every single interview is more, what's this person like, mentally? Like, and I'm not talking like, are they, do they have anxiety disorder, this, that? Like, I'm not talking that kind of mental. I'm talking like, put this person in a tough position, throw them in the deep end. How are they going to manage? Do they want that? Like, I want people on my team that just want to get stuck in.
Yeah.
They can have limited guidance. They can find it out themselves. They do the research and they make it happen. And that's been a key thing for me, moving away from people that needed that guidance, that needed that assurance, and adopting a team that think for themselves. They can act for themselves. And I think that was a big mental shift because when you have those people on board, like our social media manager, for example, like she is incredible and she started in November. Liv talks to her a lot more than I do, granted, but she's one of them people that, like, if you don't talk to for the day, you're not worried. Like, I'm not sat there thinking like, oh, is she doing her work? Like,
there's no need to micromanage.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't have that approach with my staff, period. But when that's just my style. And that style with people that aren't forward thinking and they're not looking for ways to improve things. They're not sort of looking at what they're doing and how they can improve as a person. People will take the piss if they're not that kind of person and you're not micromanaging them. They kind of need that kick up the arse to, do stuff. So that's been massive. Bringing people on that are forward thinking, done that through asking questions. Like, sounds cliche and like standard interview question, but like, what are some of the challenges you've had? in your current job that you're in or in your previous job, like what sort of stuff could have been improved? Have you ever looked at, like, I think one of my questions to our current social media manager, because we were looking for project management tools at that time, was, have you ever looked at project management tools? And like, you know, it's completely separate from their job, right? But what I'm trying to find out, one is, how forward thinking is this person, and how would they attack something that they don't understand and they've never sort of known before? And also, like, if their company was using some sick project management system, tell me about it. I want to hear about that. That's knowledge for me.
Definitely, because you want to delegate in areas with people who are either at the same capacity, but ideally stronger than you, because it doesn't make sense for you to delegate areas in your business to staff members or team members who are less competent than you. You want to get the best. You want to get the A team, the A players, right? So those questions are, I mean, as you said, that journey of asking the right questions, finding the right people, it's all so important to building a solid agency, and obviously moving forward into this year with your goals of doing better with the retainers and the softwares, the data, and all of that stuff. So props to you, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, like what that means is, like, now with the team, although I do still work a lot of hours, that's you know, partially by choice, partially by self-sabotage, because I'm in, you know, when you are in the fucking hustle of like freelance and starting a company and, you know, that sort of stuff, you wire yourself to think like more work means more outcome.
Yeah.
But it reaches a certain point where that's not necessarily the case. It's more like, what can we improve to increase the outcome? And it's like, rather than I'm going to put in 150 hours this week and we're going to be like here. And, you know, when you got a team behind you, if I put in 150 hours, you know, I'm not moving from here to here like I would in a freelance setup. I'm moving from like here to here. So it's like, how can I work, like, it's not that I'm worried about working less hours. It's more, what can I do in less time that
be
would
more
make
efficient with your output? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you know, you asked before, like, what does this mean for me? I think right now, like, not too much has changed. It's more like, got a new family with work, which is my team. We all really like rely on each other. We all look out for each other. We're all, you know, in it together. But I think long term, what it's going to allow me to do is work more on myself, because there is an impact of, you know, brute force for 2 years. Like, I think mentally I've checked out a bit, because you have to, like, when you're in the shit, you're working, you know, you don't have rest. I was sleeping for like 3-4 hours a night. You get yourself in some really dark places. And I think with that, for me now, it's like unwiring that. You know, I go to therapy, not because like business is traumatic, but it's because that's a way for me to improve. That's a way for me to look after myself more. I'm also looking into things like fitness. So I'm giving myself more time to look after myself. I like running. I hate the gym, but I want to feel like physically fit. So Muay Thai, I've started taking that up after my Thailand trip. Done a session yesterday, which was my first one in the UK. And it's like, now that I've got a bit more time and that I've got some, you know, money there, I can do that, and I can pay for the sessions without worrying about, you know, my previous 1,700 a month salary. It would take chunks out of, you know. And yeah, I think just that's where I'm at now. And it's, here's the foundation. In order for us to progress forward, I need to be in a good headspace. I need to be sound. I need to be thinking clearer. And that's my next challenge, is how do we get me into that space again? Because admittedly, I'm not right now. I'm good. You know, I'm not worried about myself or my mental health. But it's more a case of like, that's going to give a better outcome than if I just run myself into the ground again.
Yeah.
Because then we'll survive for years to come rather than just months or weeks.
I respect that, man. And again, like everyone's always on a journey, some form of journey, right? You're never where you truly want to be. And even if you are, then the next phase comes in of, I'm not happy. I want to do this and that. So if someone's watching this and they're in the exact same position you were in, like I'm talking about Joe a couple of years ago, stuck as that freelancer wanting to scale, what's the one thing you would tell them?
I think my my biggest learning with all of this is like preparation. And I'm not talking preparation like, read these books and this and that, because like, truth be told, I haven't had the time to read books. Like, it's just been that busy at times. But my stance is systems, and it's like thrown in your face, build this system, build that, scale it, operationalize. I think you can't do that in the early days. You just got to fucking tackle stuff and make mistakes and react to mistakes. I think it's good learning as well. If everything was perfect, then I wouldn't know, how to overcome a pissed off client because we've missed a deadline, stuff like that. How to manage reputation, even if your work isn't, to the standards and isn't to the timescales that you'd want it to be. Build systems, but to be more specific in that, get yourself a really good project management system. Understand your ideal customer journey. So if someone inquires with you, how do you take them from that stage to, final output, work completed?
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand that, it takes away the mental burden of thinking about stuff. What I found was like late last year, everything was so manual and everything was like, it took mental energy. I'd jump off a sales call, they'd be ready to go. I'd have shit tons of work to do. And I'd write a note on my laptop that said like, on board so-and-so. But then when I came back to it later on, when I'd remember to come back to it, that is, if I remember to come back to it, it's a thought process. It's like, oh shit, like what now? Oh yeah, we do that, and then we do that, and then if it's written
nothing
down
was really
somewhere,
planned out, like you said, preparation.
Yeah, exactly. And like do that now rather than later. Because now I'm dedicating more time towards building like training videos for my team so that it's not a case of, oh, hey Joe, like, you told me how to do this like a couple months ago. I've completely forgotten. Can you run through it again? Yeah, sure. Like, hey, have this link. I've got a Loom there. It talks you through everything, tells you how to do it. Have a look and then come to me if you need any more questions addressing. So yeah, if you have that stuff before, it will save you a lot of mental energy, and it will stop what happened to me, which was, something complicated comes up. There's no training documents that tells people how to do it. So I take it on, and you have 3 of those things come to you in a day. Your day's hijacked automatically.
Yeah.
So now my next stage is 1, how do I look after myself more, keep myself more consistent, without things like, caffeine to like get me locked in.
Yeah.
But then also, how do I forgot where I was going with that, but how do I, that's it. How do I separate myself so much from day-to-day operations? Again, not because I don't want to work. I love working. I will work myself into the ground, but it's more mental mental clarity. I need to be focusing my time on improving things and actually having the space and time to improve things. Without that, it's all going to come crashing down eventually. It's just a case of, biding your time until then. So that's my one piece of advice: preparation. And just to build on that even more, if you don't, Like, because a lot of people say build systems, they don't tell you why. If you don't, you'll have what we had about halfway through last year, which was, 50 projects going on at any given point. You forget a couple of them are even happening. So you're like, client emails you like, oh, hey, what's going on with this? And it's like, holy shit, it's been 2 weeks since I've done that filming session. And I haven't even sent the edits to the editors. That's going to take at least another week and a half to do because they wanted 20 edits. Going to need an internal round of revisions, which, once it comes to us, what's to say I'm going to be free to look through them and get them done, boxed off within a day. So it might push that back another week. And then all of a sudden it's like 6 weeks from that client's filming session and they're pissed off. I'm pissed off with myself. And it's like, what do we do? Thankfully, because I've got good morals, I've refunded a lot of times. I refunded or I've done extra deliverables, and that's so costly. I talk about revenue, I talk about numbers and, our minimum outgoings. But there was a point where like we were getting an 18K in a month and we just spend it all on extra deliverables to compensate for work not being done to the standard that I'd want it to be done at. Yeah. And
it's just the reality
fucking costly.
Yeah. It's just the reality of running a business. To that extent, when you reach different milestones with your business, you'll face these different bottlenecks. But the fact that it's all a lesson, you take it on as lessons and not let it ride you to the ground and be, defeated by it. That's the key here. And that piece of advice you've given will do wonders for everyone watching in and tuning in. So I really appreciate that, man. I guess that kind of concludes the story. Really appreciate you sharing everything and really discussing the highs and the lows and everything, which is so important. Bro, where can people connect with you? Like, where can they find you on Instagram, your website, if they want to follow on with you and your journey now?
Appreciate that, man. And just before I plug myself, I just want to say, like, thank you for getting me on here. I really, really appreciate, being able to speak. Like, I love talking about myself, but like even more so, like, throughout the time that we've worked together, even after our program, you were there. If I had questions, I could reach out to you, and I really respect what you're doing. I think people can learn so much from you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you continue growing in this. And yeah, you've got brilliant things, and more importantly, your students have got brilliant things ahead of them. So thank you again. But yeah, to find me, my Instagram is Dental Content, and the company page is Sown Productions. We have taken a little break from posting, as I mentioned before. Leads coming out our ears, so we've sort of settled down on that front for now. But always there if you have any questions. Happy to connect, and ultimately we're always looking for creatives to collaborate with. A big thing for us now is partnerships and who is out there, and how can we work with them in the future? How can we share skills? How can we share knowledge? Just for context, like recently we went to America to meet an agency out there to sort of explore ideas with them, learn from each other. And I'm set to go back out there at a couple different points this year to actually work with them actively on projects and do some filming for them. So we're always open to that. So as I said, Joe's Dental Content is my one. If I'm not responsive on there, because sometimes I delete Instagram for the headspace, great way to get in touch is just a little WhatsApp card on our profile. You can literally just ping us a WhatsApp, always there to have a chat. So thank you again, man. Really appreciate the time and just looking forward to it. Also, if anyone wants to sort of build on this, wants us to build on this, I was saying to Naman, depending on the feedback, we could get together and we could put together a more tactical, actionable steps kind of style one, and really get into the nitty gritty. So let us know.
So unfortunately, the call cut off at such an awkward timing. due to some technical issues I was facing with using this whole website. But what we were saying is that me and Joe are potentially exploring the idea of having our own weekly or bi-weekly talks of more in-depth processes and the systems and the mechanics of exactly what he's gone through to build his agency and exactly what I've gone through to build my agency. And yeah, if that's something you guys want to see and want us to execute on, the power is in your hands. Just let us know in the comments if that is something you're interested in. Me and Joe will get to planning. Yeah, hopefully you guys gained a lot of value and insight from this video. There are a lot more other case studies who, just like Joe, went through the one-to-one program and have absolutely smashed it, and I cannot wait to bring them on board to have their experiences and their insights shared with you guys. So yeah, catch you guys on the next one.